Good evening, everybody. It's your boy, me. Um, it's pretty late right now. It is nearly, it's a little bit past 9:30, 9:35 on December 18th, 2024, Central, 9:35 Central Time. Um, yeah, it's been a long day. It's been a really long day, really tiring, but it's been a good day. Um, so, last the last chapter, Pippa and Pasta. It showed Peter talking to his daughter Pippa, I guess, and of course the Malays just talking about stuff. If you want more information, I would honestly just recommend going and just watching watching the actual video. It's a short one, and it's like maybe a 4 or 5 page chapter, so it's not gonna take very long. This one's gonna be a bit longer. It's about 10 pages. So yeah, I'm gonna take off these glasses because I don't know why, but like I see my reflection in them and stuff. So it's just distracting me. Um, yeah. Also, I was drying clothes over here, so just ignore that. I I'm very messy, and yes, I do wear a lot of the same clothes because I do a lot of laundry because I exercise a whole lot, and everything is sweaty and nasty. But yeah, TMI. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get to the next chapter. Again, if you need any more, if you want to watch the previous chapter, just look in the description. If you want to see the actual playlist of of all the previous chapters of this book for The Constant Rabbit by Jasper Fforde, which we are reading, then you can always look in again look in the description as well as an Amazon link to buy a copy of this book. It is not endorsed by me. It is not. I don't have a code for it. No QR code. Like nothing like that. This is just me wanting to support the author because again, this is me reading this for not just monetary gain or anything like that. This is just me reading it for fun. So, with that being said, let us continue. This next chapter being Next Sunday, Next Door. Again, reading just non-dialogue as my own voice, all dialogue and a UK, some sort of UK accent or dialect because I just want to have fun that way. And if it is bad, then oh well. Again, this is my first time reading it. I'm reading it along with you guys for the most part. I'm basically live reacting. So, anyways, Next Sunday, Next Door. DNA testing revealed that the rabbits were not some weird human-rabbit hybrid, but were in fact rabbits, genetically indistinguishable from their dim field cousins. Whatever gives the human-like rabbits their humanness, it isn't in their DNA. The rabbits arrived the following Sunday amidst the buzz of motor mowers and the snip snap snip of garden shears. Everyone was eager to have the village neat and tidy, ship-shape, and perfectly just so on the off chance that the spick and span judges might drop by, as they had been mooching around Pembridge on Wednesday. I was in the garage, as they say, with my Austin Healey when a 1974 Dodge Monaco pulled up in front of Hemlock Towers. For the Dodge Monaco they have down at the bottom of the page, I didn't know that then. I found out later. The actual car is now part of the event museum near Rioter. Coincidentally, it was the civilian model of the car that Jake and Elwood Blues drove. Let's see. It was rabbits liked large American cars as they were better suited to their physique and limited levels of dexterity. Bench seats, auto transmission, feather light power steering, and large pedals. They also looked great. They also took great care of the cars as rabbits viewed obsolescence as the arrogant cousin of waste and thus incompatible with the fourth tenet of their faith, sustainability. There was a rabbit saying, which roughly translates as only a fool buys twice. I hurried upstairs to see more easily over the dividing hedge. The kids got out first, and I noted, were traditionally dressed yet with modern trappings. The boy rabbit was in a blue tailor suit and Nikes, and listening to a cassette Walkman. He moved languidly as though either deep in thought or consumed by idleness, and was also wearing an ankle monitor on the type used by the probation services. The girl rabbit was more animated, wore a flowery summer dress, and bounced into the house with one or two excited hops while her father climbed out of the driver's side. He was dressed in a green Harris tweed over a matching waistcoat, shirt, and tie. Rabbits rarely wore any clothes from the waist down as it restricted movement and the ability to hop. This was of little consequence to the females, who routinely wore skirts, dresses, and, if no bouncing was planned, culottes. But to the males, who in one very notable respect were extremely human-like indeed, had to disguise their trouserless modesty beneath a series of discreet items of apparel whose ingenious complexity is not within the scope of this book. At the bottom of it, it says, see Chapter 6 of Dr. Sam Ingram's landmark work, Below Waist Costume, Modesty, and the Bipedal Post-Event Rabbit. Major Rabbit consulted a fob watch that he kept in his waistcoat pocket, and then moved to take the cases from the boot of the car. At the same time, the front passenger door opened and Connie Rabbit climbed out. Took a sniff of the air and looked around. She was wearing a leather jacket over a spotted summer dress, and her ears were tied loosely at the base with a red bandana. Unusually, a small part of her tail peeked out from beneath her dress, the rabbit equivalent of a plunging neckline. Shocking in polite rabbit circles a decade ago, but mostly acceptable today. The spontaneous anthropomorphic event had taken place before I was born, so rabbits talking, wearing sundresses, or driving cars never seemed that unusual to me. Their appearance in 1965 had not been reported immediately, as the whole thing was dismissed as an elaborate hoax, right up until the moment Franklin Rabbit chatted to Charles Wheeler live on the BBC's Paranormal Special. It says at the bottom, mainly about carrots and fruitcake and his favorite beetle, but Franklin was only young at the time. Interviewed later, he told reporters that he should have said something more measured and erudite. After that, every news station on the planet wanted to talk to the rabbit and find out how this all came about, something which still remains elusive today. The initial skepticism and disbelief then turned to curiosity, celebration, and acceptance before taking a downward spiral during the naughty issues regarding status and rights before changing, as their numbers rose, to suspicion, condemnation, hatred, and fear. Okay, here, let me change the way that I say that last sentence. Sorry. Before taking a downward spiral during the naughty issues regarding status and rights before changing, as their numbers rose, to suspicion, condemnation, hatred, and fear. The journey from celebration to rejection had taken less than 2 decades. I was startled by the phone ringing. I picked it up too fast, fumbled, dropped, then answered the phone. It was Norman Malay. It's arrived, he said, as though announcing an outbreak of the bubonic plague. Can you see them? Yes, I replied, returning to the window with the phone. 2 adults, 2 children. Why don't you come round and talk to them? What? Don't be ridiculous. Do they look as if they'll be staying only a few nights? I looked out of the window as a large removals lorry reversed down the narrow lane, reverse Warner beeping. No, I think they're here for a while. There was a pause on the phone, and then the muffled sounds of people conversing. After a moment, Norman came back on the line, his voice sounding more strident. Listen here, Knox. We've had our differences in the past, but there is a moment in everyone's lives when they have to step up to the plate, be counted, grit their teeth, and do the right thing for the community. And what is that thing? I asked, impressed he could cram 5 cliches into one sentence. You've got some seriously objectionable centrist views, Knox, so you'll be perfect cover. We need you to go in and talk to the rabbits, get their confidence, make friends if such a thing is possible. And when you think the moment is right, tell them they can't have $5,000 in cash to shove off. She's already got a lot of money, I said. Compensation from the compliance task force after they leaked her husband's address to 2 Legs Good. Conspiracy theory, Knox. Unproved and untrue. It was a well-known fact around Rabcot that not only was this absolutely true, but the senior group leader was the one who did it, and even boasted about it at the Christmas party the same year. I really don't think, I said slowly, a measly $5,000 would be nearly enough. Bloodsuckers, he muttered. Hasn't she milked enough cash out of the public purse already? Okay, Knox, you drive a hard bargain. We can go all the way up to 7, but not a penny more. Unless they turn you down, then get back to me ASAP. Will you do that for me? For us. I didn't need to give it much thought. If there was a peaceful solution to the problem, where everyone could be happy, I should probably try and make it happen. It wasn't the only reason I was content to go over there. I wanted to see Connie again. If I reminded her who I was, it was possible she might remember me. Okay then, I said. I'll let them settle for half an hour and then go and say hello. Splendid, said Norman in a friendlier tone. I'll get a progress report from you later. Keep your eyes peeled and best leave your wallet and mobile phone at home. You know what they're like. I went down to the kitchen, dumped a bag of carrots into a wicker basket, and then covered them with a gingham tea towel. I gave the rabbits 30 minutes and walked around the house, heart thumping, and knocked on the door. After a few seconds, Connie opened it and looked mildly shocked. She stared at me with her large, odd-colored eyes for a moment, then sniffed the air and looked at the basket. I noted that one of her ears, the top third of the left, actually, was tilted forward, and she smelled very faintly of warm, freshly turned earth. Oh, she said with a timid smile. Is this a moving-in carrotogram? If so, it's the first time I've seen a human do it. Are you really going to try and sing Nifin song? Rough translation of the line, your warren is my burrow, your burrow is my warren, veg we share together for warmth, carrot ho, carrot ha. No, I said hurriedly. I'm your next-door neighbor. We met a few weeks back during the library Buchblitz. She stared at me for a moment, head sideways, one large eye faced towards me, the way rabbits usually did when scrutinizing a person or object. Actually, she said in a quiet voice, we met before that, a long time ago. It's Peter Knox, isn't it? I suddenly felt an odd sense of warmth that she remembered me, mixed with a sense of what I felt towards her back then. Hello, Connie, I said, feeling myself start to tremble ever so slightly. Yes, it's me. How have you been? How generally favorable, she replied. Something in my eye. She replied with a smile. Lost a couple of husbands, gained a few children, jobs here, jobs there, that sort of thing. Never did finish my degree, though. What about you? I got my degree, but never used it, I said, trying to make my voice sound nonchalant and chatty instead of stilted and nodded. Got married, had a daughter, came back to the family home to look after Dad, worked for a while with the post office. I'm now an accountant, library blitzing on the side. You know, stuff. I can see you live only for pleasure, she said, smiling agreeably. Are you here to ask for that book to be returned? To be honest, I haven't even started it. I used to read a lot when younger, but, well, time just gets away from us, doesn't it? Gosh, I feel that. Anyways, I'm not here about the book. I came over to say, welcome to New Hemlock. Welcome, she said, staring at me intently. I thought everyone in this village would have pictures of Nigel Smethwick on their walls and stuff. Some may do, I said, but not all. I paused for a moment when asked, is a carrotogram actually a thing? Oh, yes, she replied with a chuckle. Totally a thing. How did you recognize me from the library visit? She asked suddenly, but I felt a flush rise in my cheeks. I was under express orders not to reveal my skill. Outed spotters occasionally went missing, and not missing as in went on a bender and turned up 3 days later, as in missing and no one knows what happened to them. Your eyes, I said, and the West Country accent. Oh, yes, she said, blinking so I could almost hear her long eyelashes swishing through the air. Those are a bit of a giveaway, aren't they? She stood there for a moment. We stood there for a moment. It's really good to see you again, Peter, she said, breaking this impasse and holding my hand in both of her incredibly soft paws. A lot of catching up to do. Are those for me? She was pointing at the basket that contained the carrots. For all of you, I said rather foolishly. How sweet, she said in an uncertain voice. Really, you shouldn't have troubled yourself. There was another uncertain pause. I could have left there and then, but I was on a mission, and I admit I was curious and not just about reacquainting myself with Connie. It's not often rabbits move in next door. I needed a conversation opener, so went for the obvious. Most obvious. Will your children be going to the local school? Not for a week or so, she replied. I think I also relieved by the mundane direction in which conversation had headed. We need to speak to the headmistress, Mrs. Lomax, about certain special requirements. I decided to tackle the elephants in the room. About being rabbits? I said sorry, about being rabbits. I said as in a matter I said in as matter of fact of a tone as I could muster. No, she said innocently. Bobby has a potentially fatal allergy to peanuts. Oh, I said, feeling awkward now that the elephant in the room had denied its own existence. That must be very challenging for him. Her. Roberta, but known as Bobby. Like in the Railway Children? I don't remember that. Jenny Octa played her in the movie. Oh, yes, I said, but not really remembering. Who's at the door? Came a voice from inside the house. This is Peter Knox, our new neighbor, she said, Connie, opening the door wider to reveal Major Rabbit, hopping aggressively across the hall carpet. Since he was powerfully built and quite tall, at least 6'4", without the ears, I found him somewhat intimidating. He and I shared a few lectures at Barnstaple University. Was he part of the infinitesimally small crowd that demonstrated against your expulsion? Well, I would have been there, I said, but was away that weekend. Oh, yes, said Major Rabbit. At my aunt's, I explained, making it suddenly sound even more of a lame excuse than it was. She was ill. Said Major Rabbit, looking at Connie and then me. Were he and you a thing? Goodness me, no, said Connie with a laugh. What an idea. No, we just did some coffee and films. Look, she added. Peter brought over gifts. Major Rabbit took the basket from her, lifted the gingham tea towel, stared at the cabbage for a moment, and then scowled at me. What is this? Some kind of joke? Clifford, please, said Connie. You're embarrassing me. I'm sure Peter had no idea. Furs are just impossible when it comes to following our ways and customs. Major Rabbit ignored her and continued to stare at me in a menacing fashion. I noticed that one of his eyes was slightly milky, and his ears had a dozen or so dueling bullet holes, evidence of love's lost in one. His left ear had a kink a quarter of the way up, where a wound had healed badly, but Mrs. Griswold and Pippa had been right. He was ex-military. His blood group, tissue type, and favorite strain of carrot were plainly visible, tattooed inside the right ear. So right below that, there was a thing for carrot. It says at the bottom of the page, one should never underestimate the recuperating properties of a favorite variety of carrot. Rabbits who had been marked in this manner never came up on our screens. No need. Listen, I said, moving away slowly. I meant no offense. I thought rabbits liked carrots, that's all. Of course we like carrots. We live for carrots. We die for starting carrots. But not like that. Not scrubbed, topped, and in a basket. He stared at me dangerously, awaiting an explanation that I couldn't give. Clifford, said Connie more firmly. Com is as com does, remember? Listen, I said. I've no idea what I've done to offend you, but whatever it is, I apologize. I'm your neighbor. I pointed across the dividing hedge to my house, and both Connie and Major Rabbit looked at my house for a moment, twitched their noses in unison, looked at each other, then back at me. It was simply a moving in present, I added, but I can see this is bad timing. I'll leave you in peace. I turned to go, but Major Rabbit took a powerful bound and was instantly at my side. He laid a paw on my shoulder. You had no idea. Listen, I said, warming to my task. I'll admit there's been some negative sentiments about you moving here, but I thought and try and show you that despite the vocal minorities, some of us are at least harmlessly indifferent. I tried to think of the right phrase. I should have read that first. Anyways, Major Rabbit looked back at Connie, then at me, then smiled. If you're merely selling indifference, we'll buy that with cabbage. I think I owe you an apology. He slapped me on the back. I'm Major Clifford Rabbit, DSC Powys Regiment. We shook hands / pause. Mr. Knox, he said after thinking for a moment. Mr. Knox, he said after thinking for a moment, have you ever tried Meadowfield stew? I had to admit that I hadn't. We shall deal with this woeful lapse in your life experience. Constance, my sweet, are we busy tomorrow night? Bridge club in Ross, she said. No, wait, that's the night after. Good, said Major Rabbit. How about tomorrow night? Thank you, I said. I'd love to. Excellent. And please, Mr. Knox, bring your daughter. How did you know I had a daughter? From the size of her clothes on the washing line, he said, seemingly without looking in the direction of it at all. She's probably 19 or 20, slim build, working in management, I think. He leaned closer and sniffed at me delicately. But there's no scent of adult female on you, he continued, seemingly quite carried away with his own precise observations. You're not partnered, but it's not by choice. I can smell emptiness, loss, and deep melancholy. That's enough sweetness, said Connie, walking up from the porch and taking her husband's arm. You can bring your elder brother too, if you want, Peter. Have you had him tested? He looks a little simple. I frowned. I don't have a brother. No? Then you have a burglar. I saw him nipping furtively into your back door while we were standing here talking. Had a sort of a lumpy face that looked like a pothole repair done in haste and on a limited budget. Oh, shit, damn. Oh, savage. That'll be my gardener, I said, realizing she was describing Norman Malay with alarming precision. He must be lurking, wanting to quiz me. I looked at Connie and Clifford in turn. You seem very observant. Almost 310 degrees peripheral vision, said Clifford, pointing at his large eyes. We can see front, back, and top. In fact, he added with a sense of pride, we can almost see better behind us than in front. If you were once prey, it pays to know what's going on around you at all times. That must be very useful. It certainly doesn't stink. Sensing almost everything around us gives us an edge. Sensing almost everything around us gives us an edge, explained Connie in a hostile environment. Well, I said with a smile, preparing to leave. I hope you don't find UK Block too much of a hostile environment. But then he didn't return my smile. I certainly hope that is the case, said Major Rabbit evenly. Shall we say 8 o'clock tomorrow night? Shall we say 8 o'clock tomorrow then? I just got back to my own front door when the genuine carrotogram turned up. 4 rabbits dressed in stripy blazers and straw boaters. The rabbity language and song sounded like a series of continuous delicate sneezes, but in 4-part harmony. What a load of nonsense, said Norman, who had indeed made his way into my house and was now watching the carrotogram from behind the safety of the net curtains in the front room. What did you learn, Noxie? Not much. I'm going over there for a meal tomorrow evening. Good man, but don't get too cozy. Just make friends and then persuade them that 12,000 would buy an awful lot of carrots. You said 7,000 earlier. The vicar came on board. I think he must be raiding the church roof appeal or something. Actually, we could probably run to 15, but keep that under your hat, yes? I told him I would, then I saw him out the back door. Act like you're my gardener, I said. What? They clocked you coming into my house, so it's your cover story. Hell's teeth, he said. Can't a fella keep a close watch on stuff without nosy neighbors studying his every move? I closed the door behind him, not really thinking about the bribe and the task in hand, but about Connie. I knew, oh, I'm sorry, speaking of that accent, sorry. I knew what I had felt seeing her again, but wasn't sure whether she had felt the same, either now or back when we were 19. I could recognize rabbits, but I couldn't read them. There's a big difference. Okay, that is that chapter. That was next Sunday, I think, or next Sunday next door. So yeah, next chapter will be Searching in Vain and Shopping in Town. Yeah, so I'll get this uploaded. It should be uploaded soon. But thank you guys again. This is the Constant Rabbit, Jasper Fforde. This will be posted on YouTube soon, and it'll be you'll also be able to find it on that in my playlist for the Constant Rabbit, by Jasper Fforde. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Appreciate y'all's time. Appreciate y'all putting up with my tomfoolery. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you want to. If not, totally get it. You got a lot of, if I'm just some dude like in a messy office just reading a book. So, all right. Well, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your night.